These videos are brought to you by MSCCasino.com and the Macau Sporting Club. MSCCasino.com, check it out. Also, be sure to check out PF Painters and their website, pfpainters.com.
You are watching Sports Matters TV.
Okay guys, welcome to Sports Matters TV in association with the Macau Casino Cork City and PF Painters. And yet again, the man right next to me, it's always a pleasure catching up with Will. And he prepares yet again for another headline show, Oktagon 81 in Prague. It is fast approaching. It's just after Christmas, which means one thing, Will. Do you get to enjoy Christmas, or is it obviously restrictions? Although you're a heavyweight, I suppose there's a bit of leadway.
I do. I get to have a full Christmas dinner this year. Last year I fought for the light heavyweight title on the same show. It was December 29th. So last year Christmas dinner was like 3 slices of turkey and a few Brussels sprouts. I can go to town on it this year. Like, it's 120 kilo limit. I'm about 107 kilo now. So like, I have a long way, I'm nowhere near the limit. So I can go to town on Christmas, which is nice. And like, look, it's a weird one. The guy I'm fighting, 𝗪𝗚𝗟𝗪𝗓, he's 135 kilo. Like, he's going to have to cut down. He'll probably be dieting that day to make the limit. It'll mean there's a huge weight difference between us on the night, but I'm delighted with the way I get to live for the last couple of weeks. Like, I'm training hard. I'm eating like, it's great, because normally it nearly feels like you're not fighting because you're eating so much, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, listen, you're an absolute specimen and a half. And look, we mentioned obviously, making that step up to heavyweight. It was history making. Obviously, 2-weight world champion. And obviously there is that bit of leadway, you can eat that bit more. But yet again, this card's incredible, Will. And it's down to yourself. Obviously, we mentioned your opponent, Martin. Obviously, we've seen him in the UFC there a while back. But this is a great fight, and it's going to be a packed arena at the O2 Arena in Prague.
Yeah, and like, look, they do great events, Octagon, in fairness. Like last year, the atmosphere was incredible. I was fighting Carlos, who's a massive star over there. He's kind of like their version of Conor nearly. He's somehow become huge over there. Like, he fought in the UFC for a while as well. He was the champ for about 5 years before I came in. And to be honest, I thought they'd kind of deny me that fight because he was such a big name over there, and the chances were I was going to beat him. But fair play, like, I kind of teased him for a good while. I called him out non-stop, and eventually he did take the fight. That was an amazing event last year. Like, couldn't have went any better for me. And even the fans afterwards, they gave me a lot of stick coming into it. But after I kind of won them over, like, just by the way the fight went, I think, and the fact that Carlos showed so much heart, and it wasn't exactly like he didn't lose his dignity. Hopefully this time around I have a bit more support, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if I don't. He's Slovakian. It's in Czech Republic, so it'll be like he'll get the hometown thing again a bit. But at the same time, I always feel like the fans over there, it's a bit more like once you've shown them what you are a bit, even if they're not fully supporting you, they respect you. And like years ago, I cornered with Paul Byrne over there. It was in Prague as well, but it was a different stadium. It was a tennis stadium, and it was in the middle of summer. Class event, open air thing. He fought at 𝗙𝗟𝗓. It was 3 rounds. It was a fairly tough fight. 𝗙𝗟𝗓 won 2 rounds to 1. And I remember 𝗙𝗟𝗓 let Paul walk out first. They all applauded him, and everyone was coming over shaking his hand. I was like, this is a way better culture. In Ireland, if you lost that fight, they'd be like, loser, fuck off. Like, whereas over there, they're a bit, there's a respect about the whole thing. It's nice.
There is. I remember the last time we met numerous times over the years. But I remember one of our last big discussions would have been at FightCon in Cork, just before. I think it was the week before the official pandemic kicked in, and we obviously spoke about your plans, because obviously at that time there was a lot of stuff with Bellator, and you were in a really good place. Obviously the pandemic kicks in, and obviously there's a setback. But the way you've been on that march, Will, these last couple of years has been incredible. And Octagon is something that we knew about for a while, but the fact you crossed over to Octagon, and you've had 4 incredible fights, the next one incoming, it's gone from strength to strength. But yet again, you mentioned these stadium shows. People actually don't realize how big these stadium shows are, and if they watch it, Will, their mind will be fucking blown, because they know how to party, they know how to respect fighters. And yet again, you see all these legends at Octagon that walk into the arena. They're walking in like gods, and that's something that you're going to have to experience in due course too. But listen, these stadium shows are spectacular, and obviously we've had Dennis Frimpong on, and obviously Brian Manning is due to fight next year. But I think, look, hopefully we can push for maybe an Irish show at the Tree Arena next year. Look, it's going to be hard to happen, but I reckon we could
Yeah.
maybe push for an Irish show next year, maybe.
So look, I think the more guys who come in and do well, Brian's got a great chance. I see he's fighting Daniel Schwint
Yeah.
over in Stuttgart. That's a great fight. Like he's Daniel Schwint, I think is number 5 in the division.
Mm.
So it's a great opportunity to go in and make a mark very early on in your career, And Brian's the type of lad who can go in and make waves and he'll talk and he'll big things up. They love that. Like they want a guy who can come in and be the villain a little bit. And he's perfect for that. So like, please God, he goes in and smashes it. But like, from my point of view, I've done what I can to get a show over here. Like I've won 2 belts, and like you said, like it's gone very well for me so far. Um, I still think with the market that they have over in Czech Republic and in Germany, where they can sell so many tickets, like the second event I fought on was 60,000. They were saying, "Oh, we're 90% sold out." I was thinking, "Yeah, yeah, you know." But they sold that stadium out, and like genuinely looking around, I was there. Like I fought early in the card, so I was able to watch the halftime show. The stadium was packed. It was incredible. So yeah, they are doing incredible events. They're doing incredible things. But like, I would love if Ireland could become part of that. I'm just a little bit like it'll take a big change in the culture. Like you look at what Paul Hughes did and how special that was to beat a guy like AJ McKee, to bring Usman so close. I thought he actually won that first fight, and they bring it back to Belfast for him, and they get about 3 or 4 thousand at the show. I was surprised by that. Like I thought it'd get a hell of a lot more interest for a guy going and doing something that special. I think Ireland, it's in a little bit of a funny place with MMA right now, but it's on like there's so much talent coming up. That's the thing, and like I know it kind of seems like everybody's trying to be overly positive about it, but there genuinely is.
Yeah.
Like the level of talent now is so much better than the level of talent 10 years ago, but the platform and the opportunity was probably bigger 10 years ago for the average Irish guy. I kind of feel funny because I've bridged both generations. I was just coming up while that platform was already there. And I kind of caught the tail end of that. And thank God I was able to get the Bellator contract and do okay financially for a while. I think it's a lot harder for the guy coming up right now. For the young fighter who's 2 or 3-0, it's a little bit more difficult. And look, thank God I've gone in and done something pretty special with Octagon. I'm fine. Things are going well for me. But I look at it and I'm like, how can this become sustainable for a guy who's 2-0, 3-0 now trying to make a living out of this? And it would take it'll take something like Octagon where there's a platform there for them to fight consistently, where they have eyes on them.
Mm.
Right now, there is no Irish show doing that. And that's a little bit of a problem with the domestic scene because unless you're fighting with PFL or Bellator, well, Bellator are gone now. If you're fighting with PFL, the only other option really is the likes of WOW or Octagon.
Yeah.
And they're quite hard shows to get into because you're always going to be the foreign guy. You're fighting in front of a Spanish audience or you're fighting in front of a Czech and German audience. So like, I've kind of managed to do something a bit weird where I've become like, I'm probably more popular over there than I am even in Ireland now, which is strange to me. Like,
It's
I
mad.
walk
I
around
know.
Prague and I get recognized everywhere I go, which is class. It's great. But like, it still doesn't bode well for a guy who's fighting out of Ireland to go like, oh, I'm going to make a career out of MMA.
Mm.
So that's like, look, it's a totally separate issue to what I'm doing here today, but like, I see that as a massive issue in the sport at the moment for any young Irish fighter. It's tough.
Yeah, like I get that perspective. Like as you say, like I generally believe your name is big enough to pack out the Tree Arena. Obviously, a smart card. Like if you've got yourself headlining a title fight, and you've got 2 or 3 stars that maybe say you've got Brian Manning. You've got a couple of lads
Sign in
there.
a couple of guys, but yeah, say if Brian does well, he gets an audience up from Cork.
Yeah,
Then like Dennis will get a bit of a kind of an intrigue factor because if they hype him the right way. But the thing is, it's about having a platform to do that.
yeah,
And say in Germany, they're on RTL Plus. They're on one of the main channels. Like most German families seem to have that.
mm.
It's going out to a pretty broad audience. People know who you are. In Czech Republic, Octagon's just huge because they're a Czech company and they really branded themselves very well and got there. So they're like the UFC in Czech Republic.
Yeah.
The UFC is still big over there,
Mm.
but anybody who fights with Octagon is very well known around the country, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So we don't they don't have that here. And I've been on at them to get onto Virgin Media or to get themselves out on TG Car. So at least the product is known to some degree.
yeah,
And then if there's an Irish lad who comes in and fights once or twice, like Brian Manning's about to do, if he fights over in Stuttgart, Irish fans have an awareness, or the average Irish fella has some awareness that there's this show Octagon and they're doing things, and they have a guy from Cork and he's doing well. At least then you can build something off of that. The
Mm.
problem I would have is so far, like, because look, when I came in, I was really optimistic about getting this show back to Ireland. I thought it was very achievable considering how well I was doing. Right now, I don't see the infrastructure being built around that,
I
and
get
I
it.
don't see the interest on their behalf. Like, I've been on at them nonstop to get on Virgin Media, to get on any show that will put out an MMA product, and even just give them, best of Octagon, like 3, 4 fights for an hour long show, right? And
Mm.
like any of my 4 fights so far, they've been pretty different. Like they've all been bangers, to be honest, thank God. So like, just get that out there, And look, it'll do my career a lot of good, but it'll also help to build your product over here. And if you ever have you know, if you ever want to come over, if you ever want to invest in this market, at least there's a brand recognition. At least people are somewhat aware of what you're doing. But so far, not really. Like, genuinely, man, I can walk around Dublin. I get recognized maybe, you know, once, twice a week. If I walk around Prague, like, I'll get 50 photos in a day,
Yeah.
It's very different. Like, and like, it's just because over there, it's huge. Like, people know the product, people know I'm the champion of that thing. There's no awareness here. It's a totally different market. Like,
Yeah, I suppose you shouldn't try and fix something that works already, and I get that. That's a huge thing. Who knows?
but
We
like,
might.
guys,
Yeah.
there's another market out there if you want it. So that's what I've been trying to convince them of. Like, and I think they got their fingers burned a little bit with England,
Mm.
and they feel like England and Ireland are the same thing. And I'm like, no, it's totally different.
It's not. Yeah. Mm.
Like if you get an Irish guy who's doing well and you show that to the Irish people, they'll get behind that. And even the likes of Brian Manning, the likes of Dennis, even there's so many other lads they could sign in. Like,
Mm.
but I just don't see. I don't think they see the potential of it.
Yeah, you wonder because yet again, look that rumor. But we had a chat last week, and we just obviously, I generally believe, if you headline a show in the Tree Arena, it's a packed one. But then you mentioned like to Kiefer Crosby, there's talks, there's rumors he might switch over to Octagon, being a Dublin lad. Obviously, you being a tip man, is that enough to fill the
Oh,
doors?
he'll get
Like,
a crowd. He'll get like be
yeah,
honest. Kiefer will probably get more of a crowd in Dublin than I would. Like, and like anytime I fought with Bellator, I did well ticket sales wise. Thank God, things went all right. But like, I'm not exactly a massive social media star. Now I'm the double champion over there.
Mm.
It's weird. Like, I kind of feel like right now, if you announce an event in Dublin and announce an event in Prague, probably right now more people buy tickets for me in Prague than more than Dublin, just because they're so much more aware of what I'm doing.
Yeah,
So the first step is awareness. And look, my job as a fighter is to go out and promote myself and do all that. And I think I've done my best over the last while to create interest in product and create something that people will buy into. But at the same time, you need the platform a little bit. And like,
yeah,
the platform's huge over there. It's not that big here. And even I'm kind of a bit like, I can only sell myself so much on my own social media. And like, there's a point at which like, there's stuff that I'm comfortable doing to sell myself, and there's stuff that it's like, here, that's not who I want to be. That's not why I got into
I get
fighting.
it.
Like I got into fighting to be who I am, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out there and talk shit where I don't see the point in talking shit, or I'm not going to go out there and sell something that I'm not.
Hmm.
Like, I'm very proud of this. I'm very proud of who I am. And if people don't buy into it, grand, look, I'll go off and fight elsewhere. Like,
Yeah, no, I get it. Your hands do the talking. They do the talking, and that's for sure. And yet again, look, December 28th, it's going to be a massive show. But how do you see the fight go? Well, look, obviously you're well prepped, you're well prepared. We've seen your last number of fights, especially in Octagon. Incredible performances, huge reviews from the fans all around the world. How do you see the fight going? I know you'll never overlook an opponent, but it's a good fight. It really is a good fight on
it's a
paper.
great
And
fight. Yeah, no, like I'm really, really excited about this. Like, Martin's 7-1 in UFC, and he's a massive heavyweight. Like, he has to cut down to make the heavyweight limit. Every fight he's had in the UFC, he weighed in at 266 pounds, which is the absolute limit. Um, like, physically, it's a very different challenge to anything I've had before. Like, my previous heavyweight title fight was against 𝗪𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪. He was about 109 kilo. I went in at about 107 and fought him. I'm still about 107 because I'm light heavyweight and heavyweight, so I don't want to. Like, it wasn't even that deliberate. I've been eating a load recently. I just haven't gained that much weight. I'm still at 107. So, like, we're going to be very different size individuals going into it. I look at the skill set that I have, and I think as long as I fight the right way, it's not that difficult to fight. Even I actually think Tanev, skill set wise, was a much harder fight, but the physical challenge is real. That guy weighs an extra 30 kilos. So if you don't respect that, you're in for a fucking shock when you get in there. I've been doing my best to find the biggest lads I can to go out and train with. I went over to Las Vegas. I went to Manchester a few times this camp to train. Went over to Germany at one stage and trained with a few boxers over there. Still, nobody's going to replicate him on the night. And we're both like, I don't think anybody around Europe moves like I move these days. So it's a unique challenge for him as well. But physically, it's a very different challenge for me.
Hmm.
I think like I'm going to have to rely a lot on my speed and my footwork and not getting into any sort of entanglement with the guy. So like most of my fights earlier in my career, I was a bit more of a grappler. I was taking guys down a lot. I was relying on top of them. There's no chance of doing that in this fight. You
Yeah.
know, if you start wrestling with a guy who's 30 kilos bigger than you, you're going to be out of energy very soon, and he's going to be on top of you mauling you like. Um, so if I win, it's going to be it's a very exciting path to victory for me because it's constant hit, move, hit, move, hit, move, hit, move, break the guy, go at him hard. If he's winning, it's going to be a lot more tedious. Like it's going to be a lot more pinning me to the cage, slowly breaking me down, and it's on me to have the footwork to not allow that to happen. You know.
Yeah. No, it is an interesting fight. It's one the fight fans will appreciate, no doubt. And look, Will, you're going to have that problem after the fight. Look, you come through that fight, which we expect because you're just an absolute animal. Um, you're quite clearly happy and very happy at Octagon. But yet again, look, I can't help to see your name always being mentioned, with the UFC. And I'm not trying to take away from Octagon, Will. Octagon is an
Oh, yeah.
incredible organization, but it's just that's the rumor that won't go away, and it's there for a reason. You come through the fight on the 28th, obviously there's going to be plenty of options on the table for you with Octagon, but if the UFC come knocking, is that something you have to look at, Will, given the fact you're an
Of
Irishman?
course. Yeah, 100%. Like, look, I got into this because I want to fight the best guys out there. That was how I saw like getting into this sport as a young lad. You want to be the UFC champ.
Mm.
That's why you start training. That's what I sold myself. That's what you sell to yourself as a young fella. Um, I would love if that opportunity came. I'm not in control of whether it comes or not. But the thing is, you're saying that if I win this, there's lots of opportunities in Octagon. This is the biggest challenge out there.
Mm.
They like Octagon have signed this guy specifically to fight me.
Mm.
This opportunity came because of the fact that they couldn't get me anybody else to fight. Like there was Frederick Vosgrun and Alex Popik. Popik would have been the number one contender at light heavyweight. He refused to fight and he's moved down to weight division now. Vosgrun has refused to like publicly saying he wants it. Behind closed doors, he's refusing to fight. So like besides a few other heavyweight guys who probably haven't really worked their way into contention that much, like Tanev gave me a great fight. And I like that's a tough fight. Even the first one was a very hard fight. I think out there he's probably the toughest challenge for me. But he hasn't talked too much about the rematch either because like it was a tough fight for him too. Yeah.
It was.
So I don't know what the next challenge is within Octagon, and I think it is going to be hard to find a challenge that's as big as this. Like Martin's 7-1 in the UFC,
Yeah.
and naturally a weight class above me and a much bigger man than me. If I go in there and absolutely destroy that guy, you can't see too many guys put their hands up too quickly. Like,
You're
so
not.
I think it like in a way, I wouldn't say it has to be the UFC, but like it's going to be hard to get other chances, like or other big challenges out there, unless they are willing to pay big money and sign in guys. So it's going to be interesting. Like, and my job's just to go out there and smash Martin Buday on the 28th of December and see where the chips lie afterwards. But it's exciting. Like, I think the chance to go and do big things within the sport will be there after that because what I've done in the last year and a half, it's made people turn their heads a little bit. And now it's like, oh, 7-1 guy in the UFC. And everybody found like, Buday got caught after a 3-fight win streak. It's very harsh. Even at the time, because I was watching him thinking if he loses to Buchecha, there's a chance he'll get caught and Octagon will sign him. And then I watched that fight, he won. And I was like, well, they're not going to cut him. And then they did anyway.
Mm.
And now it's ended up happening. So, like, I feel like it was very harsh on him to get caught. There's a little bit of media attention because of, oh, he's going on to do this now. I think it's the perfect opportunity for me to go out there and show the world what I am because I think there's international eyes on this more than there would be with most Octagon fights. Even though signing a Martin Buday, I think they signed him for the little bit of international prestige as well to be like, look, we got a 7-1 UFC vet.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it is the stuff of dreams, and it puts you into a predicament because yet again, you come through that fight like we expect, Will, because we know the way you are. We've been watching you for a long, long time, my man. And it gives Octagon a headache. Who do we have to sign to give Will that challenge? Yet again, there's going to be a lot of interesting free agents next year. Obviously, there'll be a lot more releases in the UFC and elsewhere. But yet again, I think, maybe the UFC will just have to sign you if Octagon, if Octagon can't get you that fight. Because yet again, you're going through opponents, you're making history. You know what I mean? There was a bit of a joke that you might drop down a few weights and win more belts. That might be a bit harder as you
Yeah,
get older, but
look,
it's an
honestly,
option.
if I stay within Octagon, I think that's probably the best option because the middleweight division is stacked. They have a lot of really good lads at middleweight. I know they have a lot of guys who have no problem fighting me at middleweight. Like me and Mike Murdoch, right after I beat Carlos, we got into it a little bit in the cage. And I know Murdoch, he's a legit fighter. The guy wants to fight, man. So I know that there's going to be no BS around that. If we sign it up, that's going to happen. There's a couple of guys at heavyweight who probably would be like Tadef would be a tough fight. There's another guy, 𝗪𝗟𝗪. He's a German, bit like, or he's Turkish, but he lives in Germany. Greco-Roman wrestler, probably like maybe not quite as polished as he should be, but a very good physical challenge, like really aggressive guy, will come at you hard. That's a tough fight in a way. But for the big names, it's got to be middleweight. And even look, like I was mentioning this during the summer a lot, and I was really big on it during the summer. I really like, I'm a unique guy. I can make the three weight classes. Like I was training with a 𝗪𝗥𝗟𝗨𝗥𝗬 over in Manchester there. He's 104 kilos and he's going to fight at middleweight at the end of January. And I'm like, I'm 107. So what will it take me another 3 weeks? You know?
Yeah.
Um, Now, I wouldn't like to be fighting middleweight anytime soon, to be honest with you. But I feel like I could do it within the first half of next year, say like May or June of 2026. That's more than possible. And at that stage, the belt will be solidified because right now they're doing the game changer tournament in it.
Yeah.
So if they leave that door open, and I've had chats with Andre, the owner, about what might happen if I win this fight, and I said, triple champ, that's my goal. And he was like, look, we can't really deny you the chance to go and do it. So I feel like if I stay with an octagon, that's the one.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Well, it does, to be honest, Mike. You know what I mean? It really does make sense. Triple Tramp
Not
sounds.
that easy. Like I said, look, I'm saying all this now, and I'm like, God, what am I signing myself up for?
Oh no, but
But
listen, I know the way you were.
it's unique. Nobody's ever done it before, and that's what I'm out to do, man. I'm in a special place right now. I feel like I can kind of bend things to my mind, if you know what I mean.
Oh, you
Um,
can.
and I want to keep doing that. I want to like, it's about legacy at this stage for me. I'm 36. I'll be 37 by March next year.
Hmm.
I don't have a hell of a lot of time to go and do special things. I want to do the most incredible stuff I can with the time I have left.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to happen, Will. And look, it makes sense. Triple champ, you're already making history as it is, my man. But we're proud of you. And yet again, look, we're looking forward to the 28th, and we're going to have it live at the 𝗪𝗟𝗟 Casino, Cork City. That's something that
Oh,
we're,
class.
yeah, it's going to be live in Cork. But listen, we'll catch you soon. I know you can enjoy Christmas, my man. And we're looking forward to talking to you after the 28th for the next headache. What will it be after that?
Oh, looking forward to it, man. Cheers.
We
Thanks, man,
appreciate
for
it,
the
Will.
support.
We'll see you soon, my man.
Cheers.
Thank you. Be
Stay
good.
there.